Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Power of Risk Management in Project Excellence. My name is Lisa, and I will be the moderator for today's webinar. Before we begin to our webinar, let's go over some guidelines and housekeeping items to ensure a smooth and engaging webinar. First of all, keep your microphones muted throughout the sessions to minimize the background noise. If you have any questions or comments, please use the chat box at the right-hand side. And I will also encourage the participants to feel free to ask the questions during the Q&A segment. And I also will be sharing a link for registration. So kindly fill up the form because we will be providing e-certificate and also provide the CPD points. Now, let's introduce our speaker for today. We have the pleasure of hosting Mr. J. Shankar, our digital consultant. He will be explaining on the power of a risk management in Project Excellence. He has a wealth of knowledge in the construction digital transformations. We have a grateful to have him here today to share his insight with us. Without further, I will now hand over our virtual floor to Mr. J. Shankar. Let's welcome him and begin their presentation. Thank you.
So good morning and salam sejahtera to everyone here. First of all, I would like to thank everyone here to join us for this webinar. Okay, myself, Jay, I'm the the technical consultant for this risk management, and also we are involved into other products as well. Okay, glad all of you are here. I believe all of you are still awake, still early in the morning. Okay, so today's topic is more into the power of risk management in project excellence. So I would like to drive you to the agenda actually. What do we have today? Okay, today's agenda is I just would like to have, I mean, of course, everyone is understand about what is project risk management. I mean, when it comes to any construction industry or any project. So today's agenda is about understanding is what is risk management. Because you see, when people just say that when it comes to construction or any projects that your guys are doing, first of all, that we need to consider is about the risk management. It means risk, actually, it's considering about your time, your cost, and your delayness. You see, the project budget would always get burst if you don't track your risk management. And then, of course, you need to know also, right? What are the risk type that I can foresee, because we are going through with these construction industries for the past 22 years. So there are a few tips that I got it. So I'd like to share with you guys also. And then how to track the risks using a tool. Okay. If conventionally method, people do what we just write down on a piece of paper. But eventually we started to lose that paper, or we'll just scattered around because we have been going several sites. And at the end of the day, when we ask where is that tracking, and everyone will just say, I don't know. So it is best to use a tool to track so that we can always assess our risk, and then we can quantify our risk. So probably I can just show you later. And then and I'm going to drive you on, of course, I'm going to share with you a video on Oracle Primavera Cloud to perform the risk management. Okay. And I strongly believe for those who are from the construction industry, they have really heard about Primavera products. Okay. So Primavera, we have this a few products, and the best to track the risk is Oracle Primavera Cloud. And I would like to share with you. And just because this is a very short period of time that we're going to have, I think right after this webinar, please feel free to reach out to me or Lisa. Just send out to us an email. Let's say you would like to see more or understand further about Oracle Primavera Cloud or any other products. As I'm moving forward, probably I can share with you guys. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. Lisa is keeping track on your messages. Stop me and then raise your concern. Okay. Okay. Risk management. What is it? Risk management. Okay, from the online, I mean, try to summarize. Risk management is actually nothing much. It's a logical and a systematic method of identifying, analyzing, treating, and monitoring the risks involved in any activity or processes. It also includes maximizing the results of positive risks and minimizing the consequences of negative events. To summarize this, I would say that it's a process where you identify, assess the risk, and then controlling the threats. Threats, you know, right? Ancaman. What would be your the consequences to an organization on the perspective of capital, your earnings, and of course expenses as well. These threats or risks could stem from a wide variety of sources, including financial uncertainty. Of course, you see, when it comes to risk, you wouldn't know what are the costs that you have invested. I mean, what are the expenses that you've already invested. Legal liabilities also. See, when it comes to legal, because you see, we have to be answerable to our client. So there'll be some legal liabilities like LAD, liquidate asset damages, and then EOT, like extension of time. You see, all these on the legal liabilities, and the strategic management errors, accidents, and natural disasters. Okay, the second question here, why is it very important to have a risk management? Okay, risk affects the entire aspect of your project, which includes your project, I mean your project budget, your schedule, your schedule means your timeline, your scope, and the agreed level of quality, and so on. Agreed level is your contract. How do you want this project, this house to be? Sometimes when it comes to design phase, uh, we would say that I want a house to be in such a way, but end up the designer would have a different point of view. He'll come up with a different view. So these are a few things that that conflicts, disputes versus on your contract. And then also the risk management, the purpose of this is to increase the probability of positive event and to reduce the occurrence of negative event. Benda-benda yang negative too, we want to reduce. The positive part of your risk, risk doesn't mean that it's always negative. It can be a positive also. Okay. So this is basically about risk. It just risk management is just about, I mean, again, I'm just saying it's just identify, assess that, and then assess in order to view the consequences, because you want to quantify the risk, right? So you have to assess all these risks to identify what is the implication, apa tu akibat dia, and then what is the cost that affect that. Okay, and then normally the challenges. When it comes to risk, what we will do, we have this poor quality. For example, cost overrun. See, you build a house, cost normally overrun. Macam tadi I explained just now. And then delays of the project. And these are all our project constraints. Okay. And then types of risk that we have. So this one, I thought like I wanted to share with you guys. Many people just keep telling that risk is so what is risk and what are the types of risk that we have. I just put these acts of God. Okay, certain things that we cannot avoid, benda-benda yang certain things too, it's beyond our hand, right? So that's why I just put it that as acts of God, physical, financial, and economic, construction related, design, political, and environment. Okay, let me just go through, drive you each one of it. Okay, and then when it comes to acts of God, right? Normally, flood we can't avoid flood, but we can come up with this countermeasure. Like you see in Malaysia, sekarang ni memang supaya lah nak control the months and so on. But normally on the April and October, we can see rain. So at least these are the one risk, but we can also have come up with some countermeasure. If let's say rain, what is your countermeasure that we can be taken? And what would be the cost? If let's say we don't take any action, what would be the cost? I mean, the pre-probability later from the system I can show you, and then after action being taken, what would be the cost and how you can mitigate this risk. Okay, earthquake. Of course, in Malaysia we don't have earthquake, but there are some countries like New Zealand, other countries also, we have this earthquake. So these are a few things that we cannot avoid, but we can come up with some mitigation plan. During that time, we don't have to do, you see, for earthquake, now they already have some kind of tools where you can, something like a AI product. It gives you an alert saying that there's some behavior change on the earth. So we can always trigger that. So these are a few things that we can just consider for our mitigation plan. And then land side also the same thing. We can always have a AI tool. I mean, a tool to monitor the land side, the land. Okay, and then fire. Of course, we can have these are the one of the fire that sometimes we cannot avoid, but we can always come up with one measure and wind damages as well. Okay. And then for comes to physical damage of structure. So when it comes to building, of course, we have these damages of structure, like rumor, how we were designed. And then when we build completely, we can have these patches here, leaking here, and then leaking at that a few compartment of your house or apartment. So all these are damages in the structure of your project, damages to the equipment. What we propose and what arrived to our yard will be different. So these are the damages of the equipment, and could be some of the reason is the moment that we the moment that we purchase and we bring it over to our yard, we can see there will be some damages. Okay, labor injuries. So this is also another risk whereby we, I mean, it's like sometimes we cannot quantify, but we can always see into the implication. We can have some buffer. We can also have some measures. You see, uh, probably this we can see there's an activity which is uncertainty, but we can register this as a risk point so that we can have some buffer. And what happened? Let's say labor injuries. What is your countermeasure? You should have another substitute labor to continue the work. So this kind of few things, you see. Fire also the same thing, and theft, of course. Let's say ada kecurian. How can you measure that? How can you come up with some measures so that theft did not happen in that construction industry? I mean, the construction site. These are the physical. And then when it comes to financial and economic inflation, of course, everyone is aware about this. Our country, not only our country, throughout the world, now we're having like inflation, barang selalu naik. So when initially we raised that quotation, the price given was lower, and then due to this, I mean, Israel dengan apa tu, and then like World War III, kind of that we have this price changes, and then when we ask all these supplier keep telling that due to this supplier gives me so the inflation. So one we mentioned about inflation, we can always put that as a risk. Availability of funds. Sometimes contractors, they don't have much funds, and how to mitigate that, we can also have that, because all these risks we need to register so that these are the benchmark for us to mitigate that for the future projects. Let's say, for an example, Sendayan project, they have several phases. This is a new project, of course. In Sendayan, they have a lot of projects. Let's say in the phase one, when they come up with this, when they execute the project, you can see there are a lot of risks and so on. So when we update into the system of this, we can always use this as a benchmark for the phase B. And we already know that these are the few risks that incur, that increase our cost. See, that outbursts our project time frame as well. Okay, and then exchange rate fluctuation also is one of the main costs. I think most of the construction industry team members are aware about this. When it comes to exchange rate fluctuate, the price of the material rise up, and then financial default as well. Okay. And then construction related, of course, this is very common. Labor disputes, there will be they will have some disputes among labors. And when it comes to labor disputes, sometimes it doesn't want to come on to work on site. So these are a few things. And labor productivity is a cost of the labor, labor per hour and labor per month. Sometimes the rate would be different. Sometimes labors from outstation, you wanted to bring in to work on this site, there'll be some dispute of the cost. And then different sites of condition. Okay, every site has its own condition. Some site we have this water stagnant. Some they have like a landslide. There's a lot of risk happens in several places. Okay, that's why I just put it there as a different site conditions. Design changes. Okay, this is a very common. Every time we can see that project delayed and the cost outburst is because of the design keep change. So this is one of the risks, and what is and how are we going to measure our mitigation so that we comply to the design changes. So this is where I'm just on saying that this is one of the risks, these changes. And then equipment failure. Of course, when subcontractors are purchasing material, sometimes they find that equipment failure. So when it comes to equipment failure, what happened? Not only material, equipment, even machineries like excavators or bulldozers, sometimes, oh, sorry. Okay, sometimes the machinery is also like at failure. And then due to this, what happened? The project get delayed. When the project get delayed, the contractors have to spend even more money for those laborers who have worked there also. So these are the risks where you need to keep track of this risk in order for you to have your mitigation. What happened if these, let's say, for example, executive excavators is not working on the other day, on that particular day? What is your next scheme of action? And let's say when we come up with this next scheme of action, what would be the cost to in order to mitigate this risk? What is the cost so that we complete the project on time? Okay. And then when it comes to design state, incomplete design scope, that means based on the scope of given by the client, designers did not do well. So what is our mitigation plan? So this is one of the reason. One of the risks also, defective design. And then when it comes to designers, sometimes the designers will give defective design also. Errors and omission and inadequate specification also can be considered as our type of risk. Okay. And then political environment. Okay, now it is happening. You see, the project normally gets delayed. Very delayed is because of the changes in the laws and regulation. The government change. I think everyone here knows what is happening in our country also. When people change and then the management change, pentadbiran bertukar. So the mindset and the direction of each person in charge will be different. They might say, I want you to use this contractor. I want you to comply to these rules and regulation. These are the permits need to be used. If you don't comply, I don't accept that. So all this dispute will delay the project. So how are we going to mitigate this? You see, and then pollution and safety rules also. Some clients they accept, some customers they don't accept this. So they want all this the compliance. So we need to have one, for example, a mitigation plan. We need to have a lawyer who manage the what they call that compliance. So the risk that I've mentioned just now is just how are we going to, type of risk that could happen in the construction industries. Okay. And how to track the risk using a tool. First, normally, as what I mentioned just now, we need to identify the risk. What are the risks that we have? As I mentioned that I've mentioned, right? Physical, act of God, and so on. These are the risks that we need to identify. And then we need to recognize their potential impacts. What would be the impacts? Can we come up with a quantify, or is that uncertainty where we cannot measure? How are we going to track this using a system? All this can be done using a product by the name of, as I mentioned just now, Oracle Primavera Cloud. I'm not trying to sell this product, but I'm just saying that based on my experience with my client, Oracle Primavera Cloud has been a tool that can support you, assist you to track even it's activity which is uncertainty or it is quantifiable, we can update all this in this track. And then based on that, you can come up with a proper you can estimate when this project can be completed, what would be the cost by the time you complete this project. So later there's in a video, and I can share you better on that. And then device response strategies. Of course, you should have, when it comes to risk, what are the, you see, based on your experience, when it comes to projects, I think most of the contractors or subcontractors or project managers, they have worked with so many years of experience. They already know these could be the reasons. As what I mentioned here, I personally also work together with the project managers, and these are the input that I obtain from them. So all this risk, what is the strategies? What could be the action plan to mitigate this? And how are we going to update this so that cost, time frame, and the time frame, like projects, delays, and so on, it is not drag so long, because most of the project, as you can see here, it was supposed to complete last year, but till now, till as of today, the project keep progressing because we don't have a proper tracking system. See? Okay. Now let me just take you through a video of how Oracle Primavera Cloud perform risk management. I've got a few videos. That's why I don't want to discuss much on this risk. Let me take you through on the video, and then you can have some ideas on how Oracle Primavera Cloud perform risk management. And for your information, this is not limited to this, as I mentioned. If you want to have a demonstration, please let us know. We will take you through a demo, a live demo in your organization. Okay, just hang on. Can you hear this?
Every project is exposed to
sound?
risk.
Lisa, can you
Learning
check on
to
that?
identify risks,
Okay.
recognizing their
Sorry.
potential impact, and devising effective response strategies are critical for successful project management. There are two types of project risk: activity uncertainty and risk events. Activity uncertainty refers to the difficulty of predicting how long it will take to complete any project activity. Experienced project managers can estimate about how long an activity will take, but they can't predict it exactly. Activity uncertainty is accounted for by assigning a range of durations to each activity. Click Apply Activity Uncertainty to add minimum, most likely, and maximum duration values to each activity. Values are based on the activity's remaining duration. The other type of project risk events, are managed in the risk register. Type a risk, and then select the risk's probability, its impact on the project schedule, and its impact on project cost. The risk register uses a risk matrix selected and configured by an administrator. The matrix uses probability and schedule and cost impact thresholds to quantify risk impacts. Based on the thresholds selected, the risk register generates a score for each risk. In the risk detail windows, type response actions for a risk, fine-tune probability and risk impacts, map risks to specific activities, and assign files and codes. Let's add another risk. Default risk type is threat. This applies to any potential event that can disrupt the project. But some events can actually help a project, being able to reuse previous design work, for instance. Such an event can be categorized as an opportunity. And the third risk type is weather. The impact thresholds become inactive when the weather risk type is selected. That's because weather events are modeled as working time uncertainty during defined weather periods. You'll specify a time period and then estimate the probability that it will be impossible for work to be done during that period. When the weather risk type is selected, the weather detail window becomes active. Click Add to define a weather period for the risk. Select a period start and finish date. Now, enter an estimate of non-working days for the period. Enter them as a distribution or as a percentage. In the non-working percentage column, enter the probability that any particular day during the period may be a non-working day. Persistence is a weather modeling concept that defines the probability of a non-working day immediately following another non-working day. Finally, assign the risk to the activities it may affect. After applying activity uncertainty and entering project risks, you're ready to run an analysis. Choose one of 3 pre-configured analysis levels: fast, normal, or comprehensive, or run a custom analysis by setting your own options. When you run a risk analysis, the project schedule is simulated thousands of times using a random sampling of the activity uncertainty and risk impact values. The outcomes then undergo statistical analysis, and the results are displayed in a variety of charts. The distribution results histogram displays a breakdown for project and activity cost, duration, and start and finish dates. It tells you what your chances are of hitting your planned finish date or staying within your budget. It also highlights costs and dates that are more likely to be achieved. The mean impact tornado charts display the average impact of each risk and project activity on project cost and duration. Click Show Contribution Breakdown to see which risks contribute the most to an activity's delay or additional costs. The risk removal impact tornado charts focus more closely on the impact of each risk on project finish date and cost. Use the response context list to display pre- or post-response data in any of the charts. Comparing pre- and post-response analysis results helps you assess your risk response efforts and identify risks where those efforts could be strengthened.
Okay, this is one of the video. I'll give you another video on the cost with the risk. This is a summary.
Risk doesn't just affect the schedule, it affects the budget too. Risk analysis in Primavera Cloud includes schedule-driven cost changes, allowing you to determine if the project will be on time and on budget. For example, in this project, the lay foundation work has already started. If a risk occurs, such as the foundation subsides, the work takes longer to complete. While the material costs will remain the same, the labor costs will increase and impact the overall budget. Running risk analysis will not only consider schedule duration changes, but also recalculate costs associated with those durations. In this example, the analysis shows, with a 30% chance of the risk occurring, a range of optimistic and pessimistic dates for the project to complete. The project is scheduled to complete on April 7th and could take as long as May 15th to complete. The remaining cost is currently $145,000, but based on the same 30% chance the risk occurs, the costs could go as high as $196,000. The at completion cost is also available to factor in actual and remaining costs.
Okay. So, oops. Oracle Primavera Cloud, it is not limited to the REITs, of course, because today is more into the REITs. That's why I just showed you that. Oops. Okay. It's not only REITs, but then we also have other tools which is also contributed. The moment that you subscribe for the risk management, you also will have like a scheduling, file management, and other things, resource management, and so on. So as I mentioned today, please feel free to reach out to us. We will perform a complete demo in your office if you want to, or you want to have a webinar or not webinar, to have like a online demonstration of complete Oracle Primavera Cloud. Please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. J, for sharing us. Dear participants, do you have any other questions? Any questions to ask to Mr. J regarding this risk management? If you have any questions, feel free to drop down your questions in the comment box. As we came to the end of today's webinar, I would like to thank to all the participants to join our webinar today, and we hope that this webinar will be very helpful for your professional and for your studies as well. And we would like to thank Mr. J for sharing their valuable insight on the project risk project management. And also I would like to thanks for all the participants, and do not forget to register. I have shared a link at the comment box. Do register yourself because we will be providing e-certificate and also CPD points. So kindly please register yourself at the Google form that the link that I've been shared at the chat box. And also, we would like to update to you for our upcoming webinars. Please stay tuned with our website's update and also on our social media for our upcoming webinars. We also have 4 other webinars this coming week, and also we'll be having a few other webinars on January. So take part on our webinars, and we will be providing e-certificate, and also there will be having a training vouchers. This will be especially for students. There will be a training vouchers also will be given. So don't miss out. Try to join our webinars as soon. Okay. And we would like to thank everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. And we hope this has been very valuable for you. So now let's end the webinar today. Thank you.